Welcome to the Treasury Elite Leadership Series. I would like to thank all our viewers and members for supporting this noble cause of Treasury Elite, whose main objective is knowledge sharing, networking, and mentoring. Time and again, we bring in world class speakers and thought leaders across the world and conduct various programs and webinars and conferences in different formats. Treasury Elite Leadership Series is one such format where we learn from the industry thought leaders about their life experiences and business experiences, opportunities and challenges they encounter, and broad trends they see for the future. My dear friends, I would like to welcome Mr. Ashok Gautam, one of the widely respected names in the field of banking and treasury. He is currently the ED and Head Treasury at IDBI Bank. Ashok is an MBA and an FRM with an experience of over 33 years across various verticals of banking and treasury, like FX, ALM, funding, interest rates, etc. He has holistic experience of setting and managing large domestic and international treasuries. In his earlier stints in SBI and Axis, he is widely sought for his thought leadership and research and often contributes to his views and ideas to all major publication and business news channels across the country. Please welcome Mr. Ashok Gautam. Good afternoon, sir. How are you doing today?
Hi, Abhishek. Good to connect with you through this medium and absolutely fine. Was looking forward to interacting with you. So, all yours.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for taking out time on this Monday afternoon. So, my first question to you is, I would like to know about your experience of running large corporate treasuries in domestic and international. I understand you have spent a lot of time in Singapore, Hong Kong also. And what have been your learning over the last many years? If you could point out three major learnings for aspiring treasurers or your fellow treasurers in the.
Uh, Abhishek, this in fact is my 35th year in the banking. And one thing over such a long period of time which I have learned is that you have to remain humble because as a treasurer, as a dealer, and as you grow in this space, one must always appreciate and acknowledge. And some people learn it by learning from others. Some people learn it the hard way. But I think one learning which always people get, whether they get it early or later, is that market is much bigger than you. So that is
That's right.
where one has to be very careful. The moment you get into that arrogance that you know everything and you can make the market move and market will humble you in more than one way. So this is my first learning and which I always tell people that you must never forget. Uh, Second piece is that there is no substitute to hard work, and you always have to be alert. In that context, what I always say that as a dealer or as a treasurer, it is extremely important that as a job, as a part of our job, we recognize that we have to protect the interests of the dealing room, the organization where we are. So, as a dealer or as a treasurer, if you, though this could be contrary to what a lot of other treasurers say, but this has been my learning that if you tune yourself to protect the losses, the market will give you ample opportunities to make money. So that's why within the treasury space, it becomes extremely important to understand the risks which you are running and how do you contain those? How do you cut your losses? And you probably market at various points of time will give you opportunities. You just have to spot it and it will give you money. So this is the second learning which I keep telling everyone. And the third thing is, which is again, it's come out of the experience, which I also keep telling my younger people, that you have to be extremely thankful that you get into this space, because within the bank there is a huge competition to get into dealing room. It's a dream job for many of the young boys. I remember when I started a banking career and initial phase when I was posted in Hong Kong in '89. I always, from outside look into the dealing room. Oh wow, it's such a exalted space, and maybe at some point I would like to get in, and God listened to it and gave me an opportunity to become part of the dealing room and treasury and this community, which is such a fantastic and phenomenal community. So within that space, what I would say that keep learning, continuously keep yourself updating. The more you learn, the more you keep yourself updated, the more you will be able to do your job uh, to some satisfaction of your management, because there will always be challenges. Market will throw challenges. The management will have its own expectations. But I think the biggest learning is that what are your own expectations from you, and within that space, continuous learning is the third piece, which I thought I'll tell everyone, who is aspiring to get into this space, is already in this space. And however, I mean, whether I'm a 35-year banker like me sitting in front of you, still I would like to learn. I go to the desk, I talk to the dealers, I understand from them what is happening in the market, and I'm always open to learn. One of my mentors, my boss, I can take his name, Mr. Azraya, and this is what I learned from him, because he was always eager to learn. He was such a senior person, and he knew tremendously about treasury space, but still he was always eager to know. He was always eager to learn. He never hesitated to go to anybody's there, sit across, and learn from that person. And that's what I have tried to imbibe. Uh, so these are the
That's
three things which I thought I'll
that's
share with you.
that's amazing, sir. Now that's just this is what is 35 years of experience. When you say you don't know markets, because we often say that there are two kinds of forecasters in the market. One who don't know, and the other who don't know that he doesn't know the markets. And which you rightly said, humility is very important. Managing your risk rewards, and lastly, continuous learnings. Something makes you truly successful in whatever role you are. So coming to my second question, sir, uh, you know, uh, apart from the banking treasury, I understand in your earlier stints, SBI, Axis, and now IDBI, you have uh, been so actively involved in so many relationships across companies, mid-sized and large companies, treasurers, CFOs. What what you feel and what kind of an advice you would give to these people? What do you think these people make mistakes, which you have seen a trend across these companies, and which you will, with your experience, tell that okay, do not make these mistakes. These are something which you would be encountering during ups and downs in markets. So, what are the thoughts on this particular point?
Yeah, Abhishek, I think one has to, over a period of time, we have met across various treasurers of various corporates, and it has been a great learning experience for me. There have been corporate treasuries who are much more sophisticated than probably the bank treasuries are, because they have footprints across the globe, multinational corporate treasuries, and we also learn from them. When we interact with them, we also learn from them, and that is a learning which we try to pass on to various other corporates who are in the process of trying to get it right. So I think one of the things which we keep on telling most of our corporates and mid-sized corporates and even smaller ones, to very clear, whether you have risk in your book, you know, and that is something which they must be very clear. And if they have identified it, do they have a policy to manage that risk? And what is that policy? Is it a board-driven policy? Have they taken it to their board? Have they deliberated? and have they very well spelled out, how will they identify that risk, how will they measure it, and how will they manage it. So these are the three important things. And once they have decided that, then what are the processes and practices they will put in place, uh, and then obviously take help of some treasury professionals, hire the right kind of people, and obviously stay connected with the market. But one thing which I always tell the treasurers, I mean, not always that, because I am quite sure they know much more and much better than what I know, is that uh, they have to be very clear, and they have to also tell their management very clearly that what are they trying to do, you know, are they, trying to just, hedge it, hedging also, whether it is a passive hedging or active hedging, or are they getting into some kind of and that's where I always, try to caution them, because they have to be very clear what is their core of the company. The core of that company is probably manufacturing, so let them all concentrate on their manufacturing or trading or whatever piece which is there. So in that context, it becomes extremely important that they are very clear what are they trying to do in this space. So there many times when I realized that uh, they do not have the clear understanding of the interest rate risk which is residing in their books. There are mismatches in their cash flows. Even on the forex side, are they very clear, what type of risks they are having and how do they take care of those risks? So as a treasurer from a bank, we do have our treasury markets people. We keep on interacting with the treasurer. We listen to them. We listen to them. We many a times study what they are trying to do, and then we give our suggestions. And we always say whatever we are saying, kindly act on it only when you fully understand it. Now, this is something which
Right.
is extremely important.
Yeah.
We have seen previously in their exuberance, they have gone ahead with some kind of hedges which they never understood themselves. Number one. Second thing, which I also try to tell them that kindly, if you do not understand something which somebody is trying to tell you or asking you to do in a particular way, kindly do not do it. First, you understand it. Second is you must also have the capability or at least understanding how to price it. So that also becomes extremely important. Once you do these two things, then third thing always remains, how you are able to market. Because going forward, as we see how the space is evolving and whatever we have seen previously happening, some of the good things and some of the not so good things. Well, the mark to market is an animal which is something which comes home at various points of time, and that is where you have to confront it. And so just doing a hedge and then also again saying that everything is done, one has to be very clear that it is not so always. But sometimes if it's a passive hedge and you are very clear that you have locked in a particular rate in for a future, if you have locked in a particular cash flow for a interest rate received or interest rate paid, then it is very clear. As long as management is very clear what they have done, what is their ultimate cost, what is their ultimate earning, then I think it's a good thing. Uh, Apart from that, one more thing which always keeps coming back to me, and this is what in various organizations wherever I have been is, and I'm very passionate about it, is that how do we ensure that people are aware? And that's where organizations like yours come into play. We are also part of very much that ecosystem, that we take it as our responsibility to make people aware about various risks in the treasury which space which are there. We do conduct in IDBI Bank also. We have formed the FX Club, through which uh, we propose to uh, go to various cities, states, connect with large number of corporates, mid corporates, SMEs, and explain to them, in this particular space, how they have to look at the risks which are residing in the book, and what are the options available to hedge those risks, and what are the plus points, what are the minus points, and how they should look at it. I think this also becomes a huge responsibility on the bankers,
Mhm.
not only from another aspect that Reserve Bank of India at various points of time has asked us to look at the unhedged forex exposure and provide a capital for it within our book. That is one part. That is the regulatory part. But apart from that, also it becomes extremely important that through various forums, through various associations, through various societies, through various groups, we ensure that we are communicating, we are telling them what is happening in the market, and we are also updating them of what regulator is saying. We are also updating them how the markets are changing, and then allow them to take those decisions themselves. So this is something which I believe I wouldn't call it a mistake. It's a learning process for everybody, and that's where we try to step in, and that's where I believe we should try to step in and guide and hand.
Yeah, so that's a great point, sir. I think quantification of risk and having a clear policy, and once the board knows exactly what they are doing and why are they doing, and doing a stress testing around that, I think that saves them a lot of volatility which keeps happening in markets like 2020. So that's a very relevant point. So in fact, wanted to ask you about the FX Fest that you have started for the overall knowledge sharing across these companies. Would you like to talk something more about it?
Yeah, that is something it has been my passion to actually interact with large number of people. And so what we have designed is from IDBI Bank, it's a sort of a forex festival. Uh, so what I in my own so what I've seen, there are various seminars where there is somebody, standing, and there is a press PPT presentation is there, and everybody is in awe, and then they all clap, and then they listen, and then they come out. And what I believe, how do I make it very accessible? You know, can I make it where people are curious? So this is the concept which we have developed, where whenever we do this forex festival, we actually create an atmosphere of a festival. It's a mela type of thing. So where there are various desks, where there are various banners, posters, there are various games, through iPad, laptop games, where there are related aspects of forex, related aspects of interest rate risk, which people learn. And there are people, there are dealers, there are treasury marketing professionals, myself included, and we are all there to answer those questions, encourage them to actively and we found that if we make it fun, we make the learning fun, and IDBI Bank has been trying in that space to interact and connect with large number of corporates, mid corporates, SMEs. And I think we are succeeding. We will succeed further, and we will take it to various other towns and cities. This is the one fun part, and this is not only for the customers. This is also for internal stakeholders. Because within the bank also, not everybody understands everything about the treasury space. So we make them also learn about it, be excited about it. And that's where, I've always believed that if you are excited about a particular type of learning, you imbibe it well.
That's an excellent initiative, sir. I'm sure it's going to create a lot of knowledge and skills among people all across. It's a very, very noble initiative by you for the entire Treasury community. I congratulate you for that. Uh, in terms of innovation, sir, what are the major innovations over the last 5 years that you have implemented? Now, this could be in the areas of uh, uh, blockchain, or it could be in the area of any form of technology, or recent cloud technologies, or artificial intelligence, or analytics. Anything that you have implemented, or anything you are seeing the trend amongst the corporates, banks, and institutions going forward?
Yeah, Abhishek, I think let's start with the first piece. First piece, which is about the forex. So it has been always a concern. How do we ensure that people are getting the uh, access to forex rates in a transparency, right? So what we did that, first we thought, why don't we bring that transparency within our bank? So that's where, what we started doing is that all our sales executive or the people in the branches or at the trade finance centers, where they are giving the quotes to the client, do they get, a streaming rate, which is continuously available to them, rather than pick up a phone, wait for somebody to, pick and talk. This was one thing which we did. A second thing is what you have also seen in the market. There are banks to customer portals which are there. So that is also a great initiative by various banks, and I have been also part of that journey. Where we have been, part of that setup where we have provided forex rates from bank to the customer. Because ultimately, I firmly believe that this delivery of the banking services is essentially going to move to the digital space. If that is happening, it has happened in large number of uh, verticals and products for in the banking. So why not forex? So that is one piece, and there is also a great push by the regulator to ensure that the rates are available to the client. And if you see when the currency futures were launched, and that was one of the award objectives, that the retail people are able to access only. So I think that is the one. In the last 5 years, this is one space where I have been quite excited about, and this is, I believe, there is no turning back, and it has to move on in that space. Uh, Second piece which we have seen is certainly you spoke about the blockchain, and that is if you see how the Swift has uh, started imbibing some of the blockchain features into their so in the payment space. So I'm also very excited about the payment space. The kind of innovations which is happening. But I think with the coronavirus situation, how it is evolving, the COVID-19 situation, how it is evolving across the globe. And this has been one thing which has been my ask to the IT people wherever I've been part of those discussions in India and abroad. We all will have to at some stage find ways that electronically, how can we move the trade documents? Once the importer, the exporter, the shipper, the transporter, the bank of the importer, the bank of the exporter, and everybody in this chain, they get into that space that yes, the documents transmitted electronically, securely, safely are accepted. That will become one of the best things, and
Right.
that's where I believe that I believe a lot of work is being done. And once that happens, you will find the trade, growing exponentially. And it will also cut away, many of the ills or the frauds which were taken. But we'll have to also co-opt apart from that, apart from these, customs, the excise people, they will have to also come on board in this whole ecosystem. And then this will become a phenomenal, and it will cut down a lot of waste. It is cut down a lot of.
RBI has given banks a go ahead to offer advanced and exotic derivatives now from, I think, September, October onwards. How do you see the appetite among banks and corporates towards their products after the last experiences that they had in 2008?
I think now when this new circular is going to come in force quite soon. Uh, and this is, I think there are a lot of learnings in this circular, I think the market has learned, the regulator has learned from whatever happened earlier, and there have been a lot of discussions and regulator, uh, in a very open manner, they have sought feedback from the market and they have incorporated various suggestions. And I think if you go through the circular, they are very clear a distinction about, that 500 crore network and above entities, who have to be very clear in what they are getting into it. And banks also have a responsibility that they have to ensure that by doing a particular hedge, the corporates are not worse off. And, so there are various safeguards are there. But I think I would like to give it some time. We'll have to see because I would still like to see a large number of clients where on below 500 crore there are certain things which have been permitted. Are they using very simple derivatives, which is the forward contract? Are they using another very simple derivative, which is a option? I mean, the option which has been, they have purchased it by
Mhm.
paying the premium, so that, and are they understanding the risk associated with both forward contract with options, and have they become comfortable with that? Because if I firmly believe, there is a huge opportunity in the market even for these two simple derivatives. And obviously, then there is the next phase as we move on, both on the forex side and interest rate side, and the kind of derivatives which have now been permitted. I think there are already a large number of sophisticated corporate treasuries which will be very eager to use many of these derivative products. But we have to see, down the curve how people look at it. Because in my own interaction with various corporates and all, and some of their senior CFOs and board members, I have come to this conclusion that it will take some time for them to warm up to, many of these initiatives which have been now opened up. But I think, and that's actually the right thing, the treasuries which are sophisticated, let them start using it, let the market also see how things are shaping up. And going forward, at some point of time, we all will have to also see once this netting thing comes in place, and we figure it out. How do we ensure that can there be a entity which is in a position to do the multilateral netting, and
Mm.
also can that entity also do the MTM calculation, and what corporate or what a bank vis-a-vis other bank has to receive or pay, rather than every time doing that bilateral calculation. We'll have to see how the market looks at it, how market evolves. I'm actually quite excited about this space and very eager to see that how it moves.
Yeah. As you rightly said, RBI has taken care that in terms of leverage, they have clearly defined the leverage in a very systematic manner so that the mistakes of 2008 is not repeated by companies. And I think it will be a good move. And as you rightly said, options, simple options itself create such a big opportunity in these 15-20% big moves that we see in the market or for their revenue hedges. I think even if the companies did just do that, I think it's going to be a great win-win for them.
Yeah.
So, so competition among banking treasuries have been increasing, and the net interest margins have reduced along with increased risk across. How do banks navigate this period and turn into an opportunity?
So, as you see, there has been some consolidation on the banking space. So that is point number one, where some of the treasuries have merged and they are working as one entity. One entity. Uh, I wouldn't use the word competition. There is a space for everyone, and the kind of competition which you are referring to, I think that is good for the customer. They get a better price, they get a better delivery, they better get a better service. they get better advisory. So I think in that context, I'm all for it. And in any market, for the market to flourish, the market to grow, it becomes extremely important that competition is there in the market. So that is helpful both to the clients as well as to people like us, the treasuries like us, where we have to be perpetually always, be on our toes, very alert, very agile, very responsive. Responsive to the market is one space, and but to also to be responsive to the client, that becomes extremely important. You mentioned about name shrinking and all. So now this is a reality, and all treasurers were their salt. I think they have their own strategies in place. It all depends, what part of the curve they are playing, what is the structure of their whole liability space, and what are the opportunities available both on the loan and investment side. Within the investment space also, which usually everywhere or most of the places the treasuries look at right now, of the total corpus which is available, around 29 to 30% is the investment in various shapes and forms, whether SLR, non-SLR, which treasuries are looking. So there is a huge onus on treasuries to ensure that mark to markets are taken care of. Uh, whatever possible the capital gains, if we are able to give it to the institution, we are able to give, and also obviously are ensure that we don't run large losses. We cut our losses at time. So
Right.
within that space, it's a good thing. The competition is good always for the market.
So, sir, in the current situation, you have seen that RBI has allowed banks to participate in the NDF markets. Uh, Earlier, it was only few large selected global banks who were participating, and the institutions used to do business with them. Now, and RBI is also in the process of a huge reserve accumulation spree. Do you see these developments structurally altering the overall dynamics of the dollar rupee market? Do you see the volatility in the rupee coming down because now you have the liberty to participate in the NDF market and curb volatility? How are you seeing the trend going forward? The $507 billion of reserves.
So now you see, we have been seeing a rupee from ages now. We have seen all parts of how this USD INR space has evolved, and NDA was, if I can say, the last space which we were just trying to explore, and that has now also been permitted by our regulator. So I'm quite excited about it, and but we'll have to also see ultimately that who are the end users, and that is I always believe that what is the economic benefit of any of the instruments which are being permitted, and that is where we all look at what benefit it is also giving not only to the banks but also to the entities who are the end users, and what is the general in broadly what economic benefit it is bringing to the economy. In that sense, I think over a period of time, we all had seen that NDF flows were increasing, and outside India, it was always a question, whether the Indian market is the tail or proverbial tail, or the NDF market is the tail of the dog, which is feeding what. That question was always there. And now that so RBI has now said, okay, NDF is also yours, and just see what you can do. And I think we'll see. It has just, I think, it just started, and we will see how it goes, how the responses come, and how banks themselves look at it. Uh, and I think but slowly it will. So we all gained experience of NDF in that sense that the currency futures is nothing but a NDF, but settled in rupee in that
Yeah.
sense, exchange traded. And now we have NDF, which is settled, which will be settled in dollars. And obviously, Gift City becomes a hub where we will be trying to bring in as much international flows there. So we'll see. Probably we will have another conversation 6 months down the lane, and then we will have a clarity, what has been the outcome of this NDA. But I think I'm quite positive in the sense, like we there was always this question, "Oh, see, this NDF is outside and there is something." So now, okay, RBI said, okay, in any case, the rupee market, they have permitted 24 by 5. So it's yours. It's all yours. Okay, NDF, okay, all yours. Okay, now you manage, whatever you're trying to do and whatever benefits you want to give to your clients, and so that your clients don't run away to other banks, other countries, other jurisdictions, then why not stay with you? So that's the one very positive development which has taken place. I'm actually very keenly watching this space, and we all let's watch this space and we come back to this again.
Uh, Last question to you. As a veteran in this field, what are the areas or skills you would like the young treasury professionals of banks, companies, and institutions to invest their time in, uh, which will help them to grow in the next 5 to 10 years? What are the areas they should focus on?
So I think the first question which you asked, and now that this question, I think they both are related. So because you had asked three things, so one thing which I thought was always it covers everything, and because I cannot give it 1, 2, 3 number because it is above a 1, 2, 3 number, is the integrity. Within the treasury space, integrity is extremely important. And I have seen careers getting destroyed the moment there is an iota of doubt on the integrity of the dealer inside, because people must understand whether you are a dealer in the corporate or you are a dealer in the bank. Bank has actually given you the key. Obviously, there are risk controls and all, but at this point of time, at that point of time, when you are doing that trade, whether you're buying or selling, going long or short, or executing any derivative trade, at that point of time, bank has given the full faith in you. So it becomes extremely important that integrity is non-negotiable. So
Sure.
that is what I tell everyone, wanting to get into this. In fact, not only here in the whole banking, but treasury is extremely important for us. You know, so this is one
Sure.
piece which I want to tell everyone who is, trying to get into this space, young treasurers. Second is which I again mentioned, keep keep updating, keep learning. Never believe that you know everything. People ask me, I have handled various seminars, conferences, spoken India outside about dollar rupee and various things. And people ask me, in March, where will the rupee be? And my honest answer always, I don't know. You know, it's a very honest answer. And then they say, no, you're being humble and all. No, I said, it's a fact. And that's the reality. I mean, if you ask me where the next quote will be, I wouldn't know. The only thing is, I must also know that, what I'm trying to do, and what are the risk control measures I have already put in place so that I don't blow up the thing. That's extremely important. And this is, I request all the dealers who are coming into treasury, kindly invest a lot of time in learning about market, do extensive readings, keep getting into debates, because treasury is the only space, where I have found, and I firmly believe, that is what should be encouraged, where the junior most dealer can tell the head treasury, you are wrong. I don't think this is what you're saying is right. And I welcome it. And when people, other from other verticals, they see, what is happening, it says that wouldn't happen in their vertical. But, in treasury, we encourage open debates, we encourage discussions, because there is no one truth. Because if you, at any point of time, there are 5 dealers or 10 dealers, they all will take different positions, different amount, different tenor positions, because everybody has a different way of looking at the market. And
That's right.
ultimately, market is a great leveler. Market is the biggest thing. So within that knowledge that market is bigger than you, stay humble, stay hungry, keep learning, have that integrity always. People should vouch for your integrity, and then you will do a phenomenal job. And let me also make one more thing. There are always stars. I have nothing against the stars. I love stars. They make your tests look very good. But at some point of time, I only request them, don't be a shooting star. Be like a sun. Who is there for a longer time. That's the kind of star. Because in a treasury space, within a short time, you can do wonders. But do you survive the various cycles? are you there for a very long time and still there and still managing the money, managing the risk, and people have confidence in you. And that's what probably what matters. That's what how will I define a success in the treasury space. And
That's a,
yeah,
sorry, that's
sorry.
a very uh, important point you mentioned. Apart from being humble, the right point was you are not a star because you are a star. It's the environment which makes you a star. So probably somebody who's doing extraordinary good in IDBI Bank doesn't mean that if he moves to an ICICI Bank, he would do as extraordinary as he's doing in IDBI, because possibly he's getting so much of mentorship from his immediate superiors or his colleagues that possibly that environment is making him. And this was taught to me by Mr. Ashish Nanda, who was the Dean of IIM Ahmedabad and ex Harvard. He kept giving examples of company CEOs who were brought in from different companies and thought they would just change the cycle of those companies. But actually, they succumbed. They could not perform because it was the company, the model, the environment which was making him a star. That's a very, very valid point, sir, for the young audience. And my last question is, how is Mr. Ashok Gautam as a person? How does he manage his personal and professional life? How would he advise people to manage his personal and professional life? Work keeps on going, but how do you manage both things together?
So Ashok Gautam is just a very ordinary person. So and probably if Ashok Gautam passes you on the street walking now, that with the mask, but I mean in the normal situation also you wouldn't even probably recognize him. He's just an ordinary person. Just go by. So in that space, it's an ordinary person just trying to do in a limited way whatever limited capabilities I have, trying to do the best I can. And I've been very fortunate throughout my career till now. I've had great bosses, I've had great colleagues, and I have a greater, I don't you want to even my team, amazing people who have worked with me. And probably the only thing which from my side has been, as my bosses allowed me a lot of space to do what I want to do, I should also allow a lot of space to my people so that they learn, they make mistakes, they fall, they get up, and then they say okay. And I always judge how well I have done is when I'm not there and my boys or the team, the girls who have worked with me, they do much better when I am not there. They have gained in that confidence, and whether they acknowledge, not acknowledge, that's not there. I mean, but I feel good when I stand on the sideline, I look at them, I say they are doing well, I clap, I feel happy. And that's what a simple Ashok Gautam is. On the family side, and you mentioned about, and this question always comes work-life balance and all. I always say it is your choice, how you want to look at it. But I always also say within that work-life balance, work comes before. You know, so it's a way how you want to look at it. People have different ways of looking at it. But I think it becomes extremely important that, and this is what I keep telling my team, that we all are dispensable in wherever we are, but we are not dispensable when the family comes. So you must devote time with your family. I don't know what I'm telling you, whether my family would agree that the time they want from me, I've been able to give it to them. But whatever I have attempted, and you have to be there. Extremely important. And we second space is that reach out to people, talk to them, speak to them, uh, chat, video call, whatever. Just it's extremely important to reach out to your friends, your family. Uh, Ensure that on their special occasions, if you're not physically present, at least you're able to talk to them. When they have tough times, you should be the one where they pick up the phone and call you, Ashok, this is the problem I'm having. And that's probably a very good. They may not tell you if something good has happened, which is okay. But if there's a problem and they call you, you should believe that yes, you have done something well, you have succeeded in life, and that's what I always believe. Otherwise, I'm just an ordinary person, not done much, but just have been plain lucky to be at the right place at the right time with some very great bosses, some great team, and some great colleagues.
That's very interesting views, Mr. Gautam. And what we take away from this particular discussion is integrity comes first, and it should not be compromised in any cost. Markets teach you humility. Uh, uh, you have to understand that humility is so important in financial markets because you do not know what is going to happen in the future, and continuous learning is the essence of success. With this, I'll let you go, sir. Thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure all the people who have been listening to you today have taken a lot of learning from your experiences. And I wish everybody who's listening all the very best. And stay tuned. Thank you, Mr. Gautam, once again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye bye.